But if you want to change the world and get people comfortable about how your system evolves, you need to have a government. And you can't have a centralized government, or else you're not a real decentralized protocol. You might as well have Microsoft run the whole thing. So if you're truly committed to decentralization, you actually have to make decisions that way. The problem is that no one's ever figured that out. You decentralized government with no leaders, no CEO, no council, no committee, these types of things. That's like systems theory. That's like next generation co-op. That's like holons. That's like sociocracy. That's like there's that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people watching this right now when they hear that, because this in 2017 when I heard that from you from the whiteboard video, that's what got me. That was the thing. And I know a lot of people watching this are feeling that right now. They're getting excited. And right now, you can participate in this. You can help us change the world. You can set the foundations that we're building upon with Project Catalyst right now. Click the link down below to go to cardano.ideascale.com. I also have a video earlier this week how to register to vote if you have over 3,000 ADA. And you can actually register to vote on proposals that are actually going to build projects on top of the Cardano blockchain. So we need you guys to be a part of this. And we're actually trying to grow the user base for Project Catalyst. So please do that when you're done watching this, of course.
Yeah. And what's so cool is that every person who holds ADA can participate. Like just the other day, we saw a crazy tweet from Gene Simmons, the basis for KISS. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm in the Cardano ecosystem now. And that was avarice. He's motivated by money. But, a lot of people enter Cardano who are motivated by money. And, it's a personal mission of mine to see if we can somehow convince Gene to look deeper into Cardano other than just an ROI and realize that he actually has a vote and can run a stake pool. And I'd love to see the KISS pool, and I'd love to see him voting in Catalyst. And the reality is that many people are going to have that kind of come to Jesus moment and conversion. Justin Roiland, for example, the voice for Rick and Morty, on the Rick and Morty show, he co-creator of the show with Dan. He just tweeted the other day, Cardano 105.
Yeah, I got a Rick and Morty shirt after I saw that.
I know, right? And so, but you think, well, that's crazy that they hold it. But the minute that they hold it, now they are members of the government. And they have equal say as you and me in that they can go and participate just like you and me and actually vote. And some of them will in the closet or actually out in the
soon
public.
They're going to be arguing about the K parameter with each other.
Exactly, especially if they become a stake pool operator. So that's a really cool thing, is that you can not only build a decentralized government, but every person who holds starts participating. They have a financial interest for it. And eventually thousands participate, then eventually tens of thousands participate, then eventually hundreds of thousands participate. And if we get the systems theory right, and we get the political science right, they can participate at scale. So despite the fact that you have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, you can converge to decisions. And the more you have participate, the less corruption you have, the more transparency you have, the more checks and balances you have, the more oversight you have, and the more domain expertise you have. And then eventually expert classes can form, and then delegative democracy forms, where people say, well, I don't know if I want to participate, but I'm going to delegate my vote to Bob or Alice. So a lot of people come and they say, well, I don't know what I can do. I'm a retired professor, or I was a nuclear physicist, or I was a CEO of a company, or whatever. And I'm not really that technical, or, I don't really want to run a stake pool, and I don't have a lot of money. And I say, well, why don't you go and be a domain expert? Because you have all this lifetime experience and skills that you have people delegate their vote to you, and now all of a sudden you represent like 5% of the network or something like that. You're like a congressman for Cardano, even though, there's no official office, but yet you can wield a lot of influence and power and derive a revenue stream by being an expert inside the system. So it's wildly crazy, these social dynamics that Voltaire has, and it's the biggest of all the experiments. Proof of stake seemed crazy. Now it's like, yeah, proof of stake, whatever.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
We got a lot of cool stuff there. And then the programming language, like smart contracts, we're like, wow, do we really think that this is a good idea? Now it's like, yeah, okay, we got a pretty good handle on that. But this government thing, man, it's out there, and God, we're having so much fun with it. And we have these beautiful governance meetings with all these old guard guys and gals who are hardened and bitter because they've been trying to do governance experience for 30 years or 40 years in the corporate world, or like in the UN or for nation states. And then we go and talk to them. We're like, yeah, he manages $250 million. And it's just like a bunch of people show up and vote, and it works. And they're like, well, what? That's crazy. You can't do that. It's like, no, it works. Go take a look at it. And they see it and they say, wow, this is so incredible. And then of course they immediately send proposals, and they're like, yeah, we'd like to become consultants and sell you some of the years of knowledge and experience that we've gained. We say, sure. So it's crazy. Voltaire is moving at light speed. Door is an incredible product manager, and the community has really stepped up. Almost 10,000 people are participating, and it's still in a beta. It's actually probably a late alpha, I'd say. So the second half of this year is going to be so much fun. I think we'll probably have over 100,000 people participating on a regular basis, dozens, if not hundreds of experts, and thousands of proposals on a regular basis.
I really cannot wait to see what Catalyst looks like in just 6 months. In just 6 months from now, it's going to be crazy,
Yeah.
But let's move on to Basho. It's the final thing in IOG's project, or in contract, not project. And what value does that bring to the Cardano blockchain?
Yeah, Basho is really about interoperability and scalability. It's kind of funny. Wi-Fi seems to be the greatest accomplishment of interoperability in human history. So, there's nothing that Iran, Israel, North Korea, and South Korea, Russia, China, and America agree on universally, except for Wi-Fi. So, there's nothing in common that all of those countries will agree to. But if you take your cell phone, you can connect to the hotel Wi-Fi in all those countries. So that's really incredible if you think about it, despite all those political differences and cultural differences and linguistic differences and rivalries and wars and these types of things, cold or hot, something works. Well, where is that in the cryptocurrency space? It's non-existent. There's 8,000 cryptocurrencies. There's not a lot of standards for how to move value, information, people, and identity between these systems. So part of Basho is basically figuring out, how do we have a Wi-Fi moment for the industry so that our systems can talk to each other and our systems can talk to legacy systems? The other side of it is, well, in the minute that's happening, and as Cardano is growing, we're going to go from a lot of transactions to a metric crap ton of transactions. We're to like an obscene, ludicrous amount of transactions. So the system has to scale to meet that and have predictable costs, or else you run into like what happened with Ethereum or Bitcoin, and it's simply too expensive for normal people to use the system. It grinds to a halt. So what does that mean? It means that you need protocols for that. So the protocol for interoperability, we have two domains we're looking at: NEPA POWs for proof of work cryptocurrencies, and we're looking at a sidechain protocol for proof of stake cryptocurrencies. And we're going to use a combination of smart contracts and SPO style bridges to basically facilitate those sidechain transactions. And the first set of sidechains will be for the dev chains, Catalyst and the Ethereum and Yella chains for ADA. And then very shortly thereafter, we can start exploring things like wrapped Litecoin and wrapped Bitcoin and so forth that can come into the system. So there's a whole agenda for interoperability there. And as we get deeper into the year, we'll roll out more of it. It's not super necessary right now, but it will be when smart contracts come.
Yeah, I can't wait to be able to withdraw some Bitcoin from an exchange and pay a 0.17 ADA fee to then have that in my Daedalus wallet.
Yeah, and then that would just be so much fun. And you notice everything builds. You build the native multi-asset, and then you have a beautiful interface for native assets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then that same interface can be reused for foreign assets like Bitcoin and wrapped Litecoin and these types of things. Then the other side, the scalability side, that's Hydra. And there's a series of papers we've been writing, and we're making great progress on all of them. And next month, we're actually starting the full team. We've had a lot of delays with that. But we finally got it out of dev hell, and we finally have some good resources for it. And my goal is to have a prototype sometime in the summertime, and then from that prototype to kind of de-risk the implementation throughout the year. And then if we're lucky, we can have Hydra running this year. If we're unlucky, Hydra will be running next year. But it's a real fun thing. It's going to be easy to scale up, and Hydra is going to have a lot of utility. Every Stakepool operator can run a different channel. And actually other people can run channels, but we think the SPOs will be the natural Swiss Army knife for these types of utilities for the system. And given the size of the SPO set, we could potentially have over 1,000 channels running concurrently. And that's over 1 million TPS with these types of things. So it brings microtransactions in, it brings super low cost batching. You can do a lot of cool smart contracts. We're real excited about that. But, it's not necessary right now because we have a lot of throughput ceiling with Ouroboros. We can get up to 1,000 TPS on the base layer with improvements to the network stack and Ouroboros Omega. So I'm not really worried about Hydra shipping this year, but it's something that we're going to definitely ship next year if we can't get it this year. And what's nice about it is it doesn't require dramatic changes on chain. We can implement almost all of Hydra in Plutus, and then it can kind of run its federated infrastructure. And that's just a beautiful, low-cost, high-throughput way of scaling Cardano to obscene levels for most things.